Hey, it's Grabby here, and I thought I'd make a video about this old Krico 22 long rifle, semi-automatic rifle that I bought a while back. Because there is not a lot of information about them out there. So yeah, I'm purely just making this for informational purposes. As many of you will know, my channel is not a gun channel, and yeah, and I don't intend to turn it into a gun channel, but because the internet is meant to be all about sharing information, or at least it used to be, and sharing it for free. I thought I would do a video about this old rifle and what I've found out about it, and yeah, hopefully it would help anyone else who is out there and picks up one of these rifles, and just to generally add to the whole whatever you want to call it, of information that's out there. So yeah, this is a Kriegskort and Co., which traded under the name of Krico. They were a West German brand of, well, West German. That's a vexed question, but it's not really. So Krico were formed in 1878 originally, and they made firearms all the way up to 2005, according to their website. Now, I don't know about that. I've been on lots of boards and stuff, and I think, as far as I can see, late 90s is what I'm seeing. But hey, look at, if their own website is saying they were producing firearms up until 2008, well, or beg your pardon, 2005, sure. Sorry about if there's any creaking noises coming out of my. I have my camera mounted in a really cheap ass kind of plastic mount thing, and I did put some silicone oil in, but it's creaking a lot, and I know the mic on this phone picks up that kind of stuff a lot. Anyway, I'll see how it is when I play it back. But anyway, yeah, to get back to the rifle. So I picked this up a couple of months ago, and yeah, it's an interesting gun in terms of its history and mechanics, and how it functions and how I've been getting on with it. So yeah, hence I'm making this video. So as I said, yeah, Krico were formed, I think, back in 1878, and they kind of had a pretty storied history compared to other firearms manufacturers in Germany. They didn't really hit the big time, as far as I can see, but they do have a really great reputation for putting out quality firearms. And I know, I think in the 70s and 80s, possibly earlier, they made like biathlon rifles, and a lot of high-end hunting rifles that were very highly regarded back in the day. So yeah, in Europe they're quite well known, and you'll find a lot of them floating around. But in the States, yeah, they wouldn't be that well known, but I think they do show up. So I believe this is a Model 260. Now, it doesn't actually have the model number marked on it, and I will show you the markings in a moment. But there's Steve over on the Living in Southwest Virginia channel picked up a very similar rifle. I think basically the only thing that's different is the stock, and his one is, I believe, marked as a 260. And from what I could see, it's basically the same rifle. So this one here that I bought has this nice kind of long, I'd call it kind of like a 30s, 40s military style stock. Whereas the one that Steve over on Living in Southwest Virginia bought has a kind of shorter sporter style stock. Also, this one has a nice hooded front post. Do apologize for all the crap in the background, and I have tried to jankify up a basically a background of vinyl nailers, because what's behind there is just various tools and stuff, which, yeah, just a distraction and a mess. Anyway, but the stock is really nice. It's showing signs of wear, but this rifle was made back in 1984. It's got a 22.5 inch barrel. Um, and yeah, I've stuck this Vortex Diamondback 4x12 scope on it, which I picked up for, yeah, pretty cheap. It's a fine scope. I've been doing well with it. The ring mounts are a little bit high, so I'm gonna get lower ones to put on it. The stock kind of, yeah, the cheek weld on the stock, I find it a bit low. And I guess like there used to be iron sights on this, and I guess yeah, the way the stock was designed, yeah, you're really sighting down the length of the barrel. If you have your cheek welded in quite tight to the buttstock. But yeah. So viewers in the States might see something familiar about the layout of the action. And that's because I believe the action is based on the Stevens Model 87, which was really, really popular rifle, which came out in the 1930s. And they were called click clacks or gill guns. So if you have a look the other side, you will see just these gill cutouts, which are meant to release fouling and gases from the rounds when firing. See them there. Then you have the ejection port there, and then you have a separate cutout for the bolt handle. So yeah, so these Krico 22 seem to be based on that action, but they don't operate exactly the same way, as in the click clacks were called that because when you pull the trigger and fire around, when the bolt would come back, it would stay back until you release the trigger again, and then would come forward, and then you'd fire again. So it had a kind of a characteristic click clack sound. Now this one doesn't do that, and I presume the rest of because Krico made a family of semi-autos based on this action. I think they had a tube fed one as well, and a couple of other ones. Hard to find information, but I believe that was, yeah, they kind of mirrored the range that Savage Stevens had, but without the click the click clack or clickety clack action. But the click clacks were basically the most popular semi-auto, well, 22 semi-auto, until the Marlin Model 60 came along in the 60s. And then obviously the Ruger 1022 came along and displaced the Model 60 as the most popular 22 semi-auto. So these kind of have an interesting history. Yeah, there's kind of more to it than meets the eye. Yeah. And I actually saw there's like a YouTube channel which puts up really old footage from back in the day. I can't remember which one it is. Might be called Periscope or something like that. But there was footage of people living in the Appalachians in the 1930s, late 30s, early 40s, and one of the guys was out shooting a click clack out in his backyard. And it's very recognizable because of the whole setup with the action and that. And I thought that was really interesting. So these are obviously like a really affordable, the original Savage slash Stevens models were a very affordable rifle for your kind of everyman, to be able to go out squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting, you got small game like that, back in the day. So yeah, so it's interesting to see, the Germans obviously took up the design. I don't know when they started making these. I believe it might have been around the 60s, but this one here was made in 1984. Um, and I'll show you the markings there in a minute to where you can see that, and also where the proof marks are and all that. So sorry for any kind of wobbly camera work here, but basically here we can see the serial number right here, and then we can see IE. So I stands for 8 and E stands for 4, and then you can see this kind of antler horn, which stands for the Ulm proofing house, Ulm in Germany, or West Germany as it was then. So yeah, so this is made 1984, and you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but basically West Germany caliber 22 long rifle. Yeah. Now the thing about the original actually Savage Stevenses was that they could, and I think probably a part of what made them so popular was that you could shoot 22 short, 22 long, and 22 long rifle out of them, which obviously back in the day, that was like a huge advantage for anyone on a budget. And today, although in fairness, I saw like a box of 50 22 short is more than 22 long rifle nowadays, which I don't know. Someone explain that one to me. But yeah, but there you go. And you can see the gills. And yeah, the 7 gills cut into these ones, whereas on the originals, I believe it was 8 gills. So yeah, I don't know if that makes any difference, but just an interesting little difference. So if you're looking for more information on the original Savage slash Stevens, or Savage Stevens, I don't know what to call them, just Savage Stevens, I guess. But check out Millsurp Garage or Garage on YouTube. Yeah, he's done a couple of deep dives into these models, disassembly, and even diving into the patents and all this kind of stuff. So well worth a look if you're interested in these rifles and the history of the action and the design. So I'll put a link to those videos in here, and I'll also put a link into Steve from living in Southwest Virginia's videos on his model as well. What else? So yeah, basically, so my experience with this rifle has been, it's been a bit of a journey. The first time I got it and brought it to the range, I had issues straight off the bat. And yeah, I found I had SK pistol match, and it basically would not, it would shoot maybe 3 out of 5, if even, whereas it would shoot good old CCI standard velocity, I had no problem shooting. But when I took it home, I stripped it down, I gave it a really, really deep clean, and the next time I brought it to the range, yeah, I found it operated pretty fine up into about 200 rounds. And after 200 rounds, well, not after, coming up on about 180, 190 rounds, started to get a bit finicky about what it would shoot and what it wouldn't. So yeah, TAC 22 kind of okay. RWS target was a bit finicky with it. Elite Sports, I found it was wasn't great, actually. I was kind of disappointed with the performance out of that. And I am going to try this weekend. I'm going to get down, hope to get down and shoot. I've got a bunch of Elite Contact. And yeah, I'm hoping that this will shoot well out of it. Subsonic semi-auto. So we'll see. But I think really the thing with this rifle is that the tolerances in it are really, really tight in terms of the fit of the bolt and the receiver. And I think once any fouling starts to build up, it starts to impede the striker coming forward. So you start to get light strikes, and depending on the brand of ammo you're using and what compound they use in their primer, um, yeah, it's gonna act up. That's just my opinion. So yeah, but what I have found is when it shoots well, it's incredibly accurate. I shot a box of SK pistol match through it, and I got incredible groups. Like, I mean, I got a 5-shot group that was smaller than my thumbnail, and that was just straight off the bat. Yeah, and that's me. I am not a good shooter, and that's just with this Vortex 4x12 scope. So I think the gun has a lot of promise, and I really, really want to get it working well. But I do think, yeah, I think the way it was made, it's kind of not made for heavy shooting. I think and as somebody down in my range said to me, look, at when this gun was made, you go out rabbit shooting, and if you're, like, I mean, you're not going to be shooting 200 rounds trying to get a rabbit or a couple of rabbits. You're going to go out and bag a couple of rabbits with like a box of ammo. So yeah, but it's kind of ironic because the whole idea of the gill guns, where I think, like, I mean, when Savage Stevens advertised the gill guns, he said like something like, "Oh, you could fire 1,000 rounds without a misfire or whatever," or But yeah, so it's kind of like that mismatch between German engineering and an American design, a practical American design. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, another thing is the mags for these. So yeah, this came with a 10 round magazine, and I could not, like, I mean, I was struggling to get 9 rounds into it initially. So what I did was I basically took out the follower, and I fabricated one out of aluminium or aluminum, um, with basically a slightly shorter, I don't know what you call that bit that comes down, but that bit that comes down, and just made it, yeah, just it made it a bit more tighter, I guess. Um, and so now, yeah, I'm fitting 10 rounds in. They seem to be feeding fine. So yeah. And then I also saw there was a shop in the UK selling some 5 round magazines. So I went over and picked those up, and they're working fine as well. Although one of them, again, the magazine follower was in a pretty bad state. So I just fabricated another one out of a strip of aluminium or aluminum. Take your pick. And yeah, they're working fine and they fit really nicely in. But the other thing that I picked up in that shop, they basically, I think they'd taken a couple of these rifles in and just broken them down for parts. So I did pick up, this is the striker, kind of striker carrier, I guess, which carries the striker, which you can see there. And basically the striker runs through the bolt and obviously hits the rim of the round. So yeah, they had a box of parts. So I bought this and an additional striker. Now, when I got the striker home, I found that somebody had kind of fucking dremeled or ground down the end. That's not focusing at all. But yeah, and I was kind of, yeah, I was a bit like, hey, what the hell? But I kind of after a while saw the logic of that, because after 40 plus years, the striker face is getting kind of worn down, and I could see that by grinding down this kind of T joint at the end. In a way, you're going to get a bit more length as it fits into this groove here on the carrier. But I did find that I needed to make, basically I made a little shim to go in behind. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, so I made a little shim to go in behind this portion, the end portion of the striker. And yeah, it's working okay. Finding the odd time the striker doesn't seem to cock, and I don't know why that is. I might just grind a bit more off of that little shim. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's all a work in progress. And yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it. But I might try and get some range footage. Now my range, it's pretty busy down there, and some people might be a bit weird about somebody taking footage, but I try and get down on a Friday or a Wednesday when it's a bit more quiet, and take some footage of it in operation. But I can't promise anything. Anyway, yeah, that's all I got. But yeah, like? I really love this rifle, and the build quality is second to none. It's made in West Germany. Like, I mean, the trigger housing is just built like a tank. The magazine, well, again, it's all machined out of a solid piece of aluminium or aluminum. Take your pick. But it's solid as fuck, you know. Yeah, nothing. The only piece that I've found in the firearm which is pressed is one portion of the trigger assembly. Um, Everything else is machined. So yeah, it's it's a nice piece of engineering. And see, the bluing is kind of worn off there in parts, but yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be okay. I'm keeping it well clean. I'm keeping it oiled and all the rest of it. Stock is a bit dinged up, but again, like, I mean, I had initially thought about refinishing the stock, but I don't know. Now I'm kind of thinking, I kind of, you know, yeah, it is what it is, you know. I've waxed the stock, so it is protected. And it's a beautiful piece of wood. And the barrel is fine. Yeah, really accurate shooter, I have to say. For a semi-auto, like, I mean, for a stock semi-auto, it's the most accurate I've ever shot without, having some kind of a heavy barrel installed or anything like that. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Hope somebody finds this useful and interesting, and yeah, drop comments and all the rest of it. Cheers.